Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with the Soul. I'm Rita Hickman, and I'm a body-mind expert and shiatsu massage therapist and owner of a holistic and cultural arts center in McHenry. And I also work out of Barrington, Illinois. So where is this? This is in the Chicagoland area. Good morning, Kathy. This is in the Chicagoland area and real close to the Wisconsin border in the United States. So everybody is welcome. I've been having great international people come on. So if you do come on, good morning, Mandy. Let me know where you're from. Just put it in the comments because we're building a community here, a community of people who are looking to start adding really positive things into their lives in a really easy way. And the easy way is just taking a few minutes Monday through Friday and checking in with this live stream, because we'll always be doing great topics and concepts and sharing the wisdom that we have. Good morning, Selena. So if you're here, please send a good morning and maybe where you're at, and I'm glad you're here. So this week we are talking about metaphysical energy, and so I just want to point out that, yeah, I'm in my woods today, which is one of my favorite places to be, and it's a rainy, cold day here in northern Illinois. But I'm stationed on my little furnace heater, so I stay nice and warm, and so I'll be able to stay focused. My energy, my metaphysical energy, will be able to stay focused on our topic. And that's actually a big part of what we're going to be talking about today. My specialty is Asian medicine blended with Western medicine, so Eastern and Western medicine coming together. And with metaphysical energy, this is what we've covered so far. From an Asian or Eastern perspective, energy is everything. It's everything, every thought, every idea. It's the carpet, it's the walls, it's, my glasses. It's good morning, Carrie. Energy is everything that exists from an Eastern medicine point of view. And everything that we see or every experience that we have, whether it's a belief, emotion, some physical thing, some, good morning, Brenda, some sensory thing, is multidimensional. So we talked about that the other day as well, that if we talk about the color red, that it's not just something that is visual, it's also a felt sense, it's also a belief, it's also something physical. So when we talk about something, when we talk about any sort of piece of energy, we want to look at all of the different aspects of it. And that's one way that Asian medicine does that. It believes that everything that's in the universe, everything that could possibly exist, we could even put a name or a label on. Good morning, Charlene. Everything that we could do is multidimensional. So starting with those concepts that everything is energy, everything is multidimensional, and it's equal. So it's all connected. So one can affect another. And this is the focus of our conversation today about systems. So in Eastern medicine, in Western medicine, we look at things as if it's very simple, one and then the other, cause, effect. Very quick, very easy. You have a headache, take an Advil. Just like that. That's kind of how our minds are trained to think in Western society. It's very this and then that, and then we're done. When we start looking at Eastern medicine, we start looking at systems, and looking at how everything is interconnected. And we don't just stay with, oh, well, it must be caused by that. My heartburn must be caused because I, ate too much spicy food. In reality, it's part of a much bigger system. So today we're going to be talking about worry and anxiety and the system that worry and anxiety might be a part of. So in Eastern medicine, there's at least three different ways that three different systems that you can follow. One of them is kind of like seasonal, like a natural one to the other. Spring, summer, fall, there's kind of like a second fall, and then winter. And it's a normal, like a circle that goes around. But they also talk about two other systems. And those systems are more like cause effect. And they can go in one direction and they can go in the reverse direction. So the system, they believe, and I've seen it out in the world, that there's very specific things that you can follow to track down all the components or all of the elements that's causing a specific problem in your life. And a friend of mine posted the other day on Facebook how she wasn't quite sure the difference between worry and anxiety. And I thought that would be a great example to talk about energy systems, metaphysical energy, in regards to real problems that people have. So let's see if I can explain it pretty clearly. So in my point of view, and in a lot of people's points of view, worry, let's say something that you're obsessing about or thinking about, you can't get your mind off of, is something, it's in your head. And that would be water or winter. It would be a time of thinking, a time of self-reflecting. It's something in your head. But then we need to ask the question, why am I in my head? So in the system, in the Eastern medicine system, the step before of why you're in your head is probably because you're detaching from something. Good morning, Danny. Is probably because you've detached or numbed something in your life. Well, why would you have numbed something? What would you have numbed? And that usually goes back to a felt sense. You numbed the fact that you feel uncomfortable, that maybe your stomach's bothering you, or for me, anxiety, which is that felt sense, feels like my skin is crawling, like the blood vessels on my skin are too tight. And that's actually a way that we deal with anxiety, is the blood vessels in our skin narrow. And the blood vessels in our body do too. And they've discovered a link between fibromyalgia and trauma as a kid, or anxiety, chronic constant anxiety as a kid. Because what that does is when we're in anxiety, our blood vessels in our skin narrow so that we don't feel as uncomfortable as we do. Good morning, Ro. So the felt sense, the anxiety that we feel, thank you, the anxiety that we feel is something that's physical. And in order to not feel so uncomfortable, we detach, we put up our guards, we put up our walls, or in Eastern medicine, our metal, our armor. And putting on that armor, ignoring things and distracting ourselves means that we distract ourselves by going in our head. When we think and obsess and are neurotic or have OCD, it's a reaction or a response usually to something else that we're feeling. So that's only 3 steps though. We went from, worry to detachment to felt sense. But what comes then before the anxiety? Before the anxiety usually comes, let's say, a disturbance in the force. You are ungrounded. There is something that you feel unsettled about. Maybe your intuition has come up. Intuition falls really well in this piece, because it's that I don't think anything's wrong. I'm not really sure if anything's wrong, but it feels off. That's that imbalance. And then you ask yourself, where did the imbalance come from? And the imbalance usually comes from some unresolved memory, idea, belief that you created a long time ago that is still running its course in your subconscious, making decisions for you. So think of anxiety and worry and symptoms like that as part of a much bigger system. So the beautiful thing about thinking in a systems sort of point of view is that you can clean up, you can clear out, you can get rid of different sorts of energies like anxiety and worry by working on any other part of the system. You don't have to work directly on the worry. You can work on another part of the system in order to dial the worry down so it's in balance. Over the last few days, we've talked about balance, how there isn't right, wrong, good, or bad. It's about finding a balance that you like. So when you get the system into a balance that you like, then you may still think. You don't get rid of your thoughts. You don't get rid of your ability to think. Instead, you think in a way that it doesn't consume you, that it's not controlling your life. In many psychotherapy circles, a pathology is something that you do that's disturbing the rest of your life. So it's not that thinking is bad or that even worrying is bad. It's when we worry to excess. It's not that anxiety is bad. That has an important role too. It's that we have so much anxiety that it is affecting our daily life or directly affecting our relationships. So here are some of my best tools for what I call pattern interrupt, and a lot of other people call it pattern interrupt. One of my best tools for working the system so that you can dial down any worry or anxiety that you feel. So let's say you notice that you can't get your mind to shut off, right? You can't get your mind to shut off, and that's the symptom that you're having. You're at work, you're driving, you just keep looping around in the same thoughts. Instead of beating yourself up, you'd go back into the system and look at other areas or other things that you can affect. So remember, we said worry is usually caused because we have a disconnect from our body. Okay? So the first thing we might try is reconnecting with our body. We might do that. I do it through daily habits of reconnecting, where I will every morning lay in bed and check in with myself and reconnect with my body so that I can hear what its messages are telling me before it becomes a problem, before it turns into something that I'm now worried about. The next thing I might work on in the system with anxiety is worry. And worry is now we're coming back to that felt sense, the felt sense of anxiety, which can be a There we go. Our Wi-Fi just came back. Thanks, everybody. So we're talking about detachment, and getting back into our body, getting back into what our body's telling us about what's going on with our lives, so that we can clean it up before it turns into worry. But we're going now to anxiety, or the felt sense of anxiety, which can be a knot in your stomach, which can be your skin is crawling, which can be tension at the back of your neck, which can be a backache. It's whatever felt sense that you have that you identify as anxiety. So then you want to work on the felt sense. You want to nurture your body and make it feel better. You can do that a couple different ways. You can get body work done, which is one of my favorites. You can use any of your other senses. You can use music. You can use delicious food. You can use a bath. Sometimes when you're in the middle of something, you just need a different change of temperature. So when I'm stressed out and worrying about something, sometimes I will go for a walk in the cold, because that temperature difference gives us that pattern interrupt. So we want to work on things that make us feel good, and by feeling good, that will affect the worry. Okay, so then we look at the next step in the system. And the next step in the system might be our intuition, or that we're imbalanced in some way. And good morning, Teresa. And that's when we might look at ideas, thoughts, beliefs, situations in our life that are on the fringe that maybe we've been ignoring. And that's when we take some time to meditate. That's when we take time to tap into our intuition. And we did a whole great week on intuition last week. So look for it on YouTube or in your emails or on my Facebook page if you want a lot of great stuff on intuition. So you would tap into your intuition to find out what's kind of on the fringe. What thought, feeling, belief, idea, situation is causing your radar to go up, causing those little red flags, which are then creating the felt sense of anxiety in your body, which is then causing you to disconnect and detach, which is then causing the worry. Okay, so we're going backwards in each of our steps to see what's causing it. So you take that time, check into your intuition, figure out kind of what's been going on, take a retreat, do a meditation, take a bath where you allow yourself to self-reflect, journal, paint, anything to tap into that intuitive side of you so you can get a better idea of what you're feeling and sensing. The last then part of the system would be you go back to what thought, idea, belief, memory is causing my intuition to red flag, to make me pay attention. So you would look at your past. You would look at what belief that you have that is causing you to react to the world, your intuition to flare up, which is causing all of those other symptoms. Now, what if you have no idea? What if you have trauma in your past and you suppressed it? What if it's a belief that got passed down through the generations from your mother and your mother's mother and, her mother before her? What if it's a belief that isn't based in your reality? Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, Heather. What is it if it isn't something that you can directly pin down or figure out? This is when I bring out a very rational way to look at the thoughts, ideas, and beliefs that are controlling me and eventually causing, the end game of worry. So I'd pull out tarot cards. I might pull out coins to flip. I might get out a dartboard and throw darts. So what I tend to do is I make a list of all the possibilities that all the ideas, thoughts, beliefs that this could be, after I self-reflected for a while. What could this be? And I let myself be triggered a little bit. So if I'm looking at a tarot card, I interpret what it means to me. I let the tarot card trigger me. If I'm looking around for a sign, billboards and television ads and, squirrels crossing the road, signs will talk to us, things that draw our attention. I will, as I said, make my list, and after I make my list, I might flip a coin. And my reaction to the coin flip, the degree of my reaction to the coin flip, like, oh no, or oh great, nice to see you, Barbara. Fun that you're in California. If you have a strong reaction to something, that's usually a really great tip that is the thought, idea, and belief that you're working with, that is underlying and underpinning, the worry that's, 4 or 5 steps away. So the way to start changing this, if you want to, if you take it all the way back through the system and you say, okay, this is a belief that I carry that I'm not good enough and I have no value. And actually, one of my favorite beliefs is that conflict is dangerous. That's one that I've worked on specifically for the last few years, at how dangerous conflict is, and that I need to avoid it and protect myself, or fight back or walk away, or that conflict is a bad thing. Ask yourself, say, is this a belief that, or memory, or an idea that I want to keep? Is this something that I want to hold on to? Is this what I really want to believe about me and life? Do I want to be scared of something that I really don't need to be scared of? I'm an adult, I've got resources, rationally it makes no sense. So you ask yourself, is conflict really such a bad thing? Is this something I want to hold on to? And if it isn't, if it's a belief or an idea that you're ready to change because you want to have a bigger reality, or you want to change your life, then you start looking for examples that go against your belief. You start looking for people and role models and ideas. You start going down a different path. All your life, once you had an idea of what, once you have an idea of a belief that this is bad, that we created, then our consciousness focuses on that, takes us down that rabbit hole, down that belief path. and we keep looking for things to validate that belief. You want to have that pattern interrupt and curiosity and open mind and say, is this really true? Do I really want this to be true? And if you don't, then you send your mind down a different rabbit hole. You send it looking for examples of when conflict is positive, of when conflict benefited you, of the best way to handle conflict, of when you've been safe in conflict. You take it out of, this automatic system that we've been in. We take it out, and we start to clean up everything in the system. We start to, as Rumi would say, polish the mirror. Whenever I think of my favorite poet, Rumi, I think of him saying polishing the mirror, and I think of that circle and of that system. And every time we go around, we clean up a little bit more and a little bit more. So let's say you are worrying about how well your son is going to do in math class. All right? Let's say you can't stop thinking about, will they get an A? Will they get a D? How are they going to do on this test? Does the teacher like them? What am I going to do? Should I help them with their homework? Do I even understand what their homework is? All right? So let's say you're worrying about your son doing well in math class. So the step that you take backwards would be, okay, what felt sense am I, clearly I'm detaching from something. I've put up my armor. I don't want to feel something. So I'm just going to own and acknowledge that. What do I want to do about that? I want to get back into my body and feel things. So then you'd go to the next stage in your system, backwards to the next stage. You'd be like, okay, what am I feeling? Well, I'm feeling a knot in my stomach, and I'm feeling back pain. All right, what do I want to do about that? Well, I want to take a bath. I want to take a walk. I want to loosen up my stomach and my back. I want to take care of that. Pattern interrupt the felt sense. Then you say, okay, I feel better. Let's take it the step back from there. Okay, if I feel better, then what has my intuition been saying that that's put me kind of on guard, that I've been ignoring? What has my intuition been saying about this? And your intuition might be of that he's walking the edge, that if he doesn't do his homework, if he continues in the way that he continues getting D's or C's, that he won't make it into college. So that might be the intuitive. I've been watching him, I've been paying attention, and this is the teacher that just doesn't like him, it doesn't fit very well. You're noticing that something is off. So then you go back one more step in the system, and you say, what thought, idea, belief, memory am I carrying that makes me think that that my son isn't going to go to college, that my son isn't actually, not even just go to college, isn't going to be a happy, successful human being? Why do I think that getting an A in this math class will mean that my son or me will not be a happy, well-balanced human being? And is that something that I want to believe? Do I want to believe that not getting a good grade in the math class means that I will be unhappy for the rest of my life, because then my son will be living with me and have all of these issues? Is that what I want to believe? And then if you don't want to believe that anymore, then you start looking for examples and role models of people that didn't do well in school but were still very successful. Einstein, for one, comes to mind. But I'm sure if you start looking, you'll start looking at people who were not successful in the regular school realm, but were extremely successful in life. There's a funny commercial that's come out lately, and it's about this 20-something kid who's on this giant yacht, and he's partying, and there's tons of people. And they said, the dumbest kid in high school just bought a boat. And so, which is why you should invest in us, because you never know how to succeed. So you'll ask yourself, does my son really need to do well in this class in order for me to be ultimately happy. And you'll find out, hopefully, that that's not true. That you can still not do well in school and have an amazing, fulfilled, successful life. And a lot of parents who project onto their kids, the kids start telling them that. The kids start saying, wait, I don't need to do it this way. There's a lot of other options. But we're so triggered, we're so attached to that idea that if you don't do well in school, that you're going to be miserable. Maybe it's something that was passed down from our parents, and their parents' parents. For me, my dad was always told that he was dumb, that he'd never succeed in anything. And so, of course, that motivated him and pushed him to do really well in school. He was told he had to go to trade school, and hi, Mark. He was told that he was the dumbest kid around, and that pushed him and motivated him to be the first one in his family to get a master's degree. And he's extremely proud of that, and he should be. But he carried that belief that if you don't do well in school, then that means you're dumb, stupid, and you're going to be miserable. And if I'm miserable, that means he's miserable because it means he's a failure, or, whatever it may be. So that belief about school and happiness was something that was passed down to me from my father. And if I had a kid, I'd probably, if I didn't work through that belief or idea, I'd probably project it onto my kid as well. If you don't do well in school, then I'm going to be miserable. I just know it. My intuition just says I'm going to be miserable. So you have to follow it back. You have to follow it back through the whole system and clean up all the different parts. Don't feel overwhelmed by this, because when you affect one, it affects everything else. It affects the whole system in a really positive way. So you only have to do things in small bites. But this is a way to look at how to solve something you may be worried about or something you may be feeling anxious about, how to follow the system back in order to create a different reality for yourself. So if there's anything that you want to stop, I invite you to take a little bit of time and maybe follow it back 4 or 5 different steps. Follow it back to the choice that you're making and what your felt sense is and what your intuition is, and then back to the belief that you might have, and then rewiring your belief for that. Good morning, Shayna. How awesome to see you. So I would invite you to follow it back in the system and see if you can clean up all those different areas and see if it dials down your worry and your anxiety. Because when the system gets healthier, you get healthier. Someone said something great the other day on our live stream, and she was saying, bringing in positive energy and getting rid of the negative. Yes, when you start making those positive choices and positive decisions, then everything starts to lift up. And watching this is one of those positive decisions, because it'll put new thought, positive ideas in your head every day. So if you love this, please like my page. Please friend or follow me on Facebook. Please share this with all of your friends, because this is great information. And the bigger our tribe, the bigger the conversation, the more new ideas and the more we all evolve and grow together, because community is one of the cornerstones of healing and health and wellness and happiness and peace and success in life. So by creating a really good community, then we're creating a really good world. You're having a positive impact. So I will be back tomorrow, 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you've got a topic about metaphysical energy you'd love to cover, put it in the comments, because then I will do a segment on that and explore it from at least a body, mind, and Asian medicine perspective. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye from Chicago, rainy, cold Chicagoland area, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.